Hello, and welcome to the Watch List channel. Today I want to show you the story of Hank Palmer, a successful Chicago defense lawyer, who traveled back to his childhood home because his mother passed away. Hank must assist his father and represent him in court despite their tenuous relationship. Here, Hank uncovers the case's truth, bringing the fractured family together and exposing their problems and secrecy. The movie name is The Judge. Let's start. Hank Palmer is one of Chicago's top defense lawyer. Mike Catan, the prosecuting attorney, confronts him about his ethics and the fact that he represents so many guilty people. Hank informs him that the defenseless people cannot pay for him. How does he sleep at night? Wonders Catan, but Hank informs him that he has a sexy wife and sleeps in a stunning home. While he is in court, Hank receives a call from his brother informing him that their mother has passed away. Hank asks for the trial to be put on hold until he can attend. Hank plays the voicemail because Catan doesn't believe him and the case is on hold. Hank and his daughter Lauren form a bond outside of their home. He enters and tells his wife that he wants Lauren to live with him after their divorce. The picture he portrayed of Catan's joyful life wasn't entirely accurate. His wife accuses him of being a terrible father because he doesn't know when Lauren wakes up for school, who her teachers are, or what color she prefers. Hank departs and travels to Carlinville, Indiana, for the funeral of his mother. Hank visits the neighborhood courtroom to observe his father, Judge Joseph Palmer, consider a case in which a man claims he cannot afford child support despite though he recently purchased a new truck. Judge Palmer instructs the man to hand up the keys to his truck to the expectant woman who is suing him so she can sell it. Judge Palmer struggles to recall bailiff Gus's name at the conclusion of the case. His memory is slipping. At the funeral home viewing, Hank shows his mother respect. We meet Dale, his younger brother, who appears to be autistic and films everything while hiding behind a Super 8 camera. We also meet Glenn, the elder brother. He used to be the top baseball player in the area, but a car accident ended his playing days. He now runs a shop and is out of shape. Hank finds out at the Palmer home that his dad keeps all of his clutter in his former room and that no plans had been made for him to stay. The Palmer family leaves early the following morning to grab breakfast at the neighborhood diner before going to the funeral. Hank arrives late and sarcastically expresses gratitude to them for inviting him. Without really giving Hank any attention, the judge stands up and walks away. Hank notices Samantha, a former high school flame, working at the diner. They haven't seen one another in a long time. The judge is kind and welcoming to everyone at the mom's funeral, except Hank. They don't communicate at all. The Palmer brothers decide to visit a nearby tavern that night. Locals begin to insult Glenn in the bar because they have all had negative judicial experiences with the judge. Glenn is about to fight them but Hank intervenes and uses quick talking to humiliate the locals into leaving. Young bartender, Carla, is impressed by this and after that evening they begin having sexual relations. The following morning, the Palmer boys discover their father's automobile has damage to the front. The judge yelled at them for damaging his car, because he can't recall doing the damage himself. The judge makes fun of Hank, because he can't keep his marriage together. Hank is enraged by this, so he departs and boards a plane to return to Chicago. Glenn phones him just before the flight, to let him know that the judge has been taken into custody, because Mark Blackwell has died as a result of a hit-and-run accident. Hank comes in and intervenes to prevent the judge from being questioned by the police. The judge maintains that there was no damage in talking to the police because he did nothing illegal. The judge and Blackwell were both spotted the previous night at the convenience store. According to the judge, he returned home through a different route than that taken by Blackwell's body. In the next day, the police arrive at the Palmer brothers' house. The police informed Hank that the judge's car has blood from Blackwell, according to forensics, and they have to arrest him. The judge is arrested and taken to the police headquarters. Hank visits the jail and releases his father on bail. The judge rejects Hank's request to represent him and instead hires C.P. Kennedy, a novice local attorney. They discover that the prosecution will be handled by Dwight Dickham. Hank starts riding around the city on his bike while wearing an old Metallica jersey. He crashes his bike while riding one-handed. He is picked up and driven home by Carla, the bartender, and her mother Samantha. Although Carla and Hank keep their recent fling a secret from Samantha, they have divergent accounts of how they met. He isn't honest, she is. In the meantime, security footage demonstrates that the judge lied about his travel plans. He claimed to have traveled in one direction, discovered the road washed out, and then turned around and returned. His timeline doesn't line up, according to the security tape. Hank queries Dale over the judge's health. Dale claims he is in good health and maintains a weekly schedule that includes playing chess with Doc Morris. Hank recalls that his father doesn't play chess, therefore he inquires as to if Dale has any video of it. They watch the video, and discover that the judge is receiving some kind of medical care. When Hank visits Doc Morris, he learns that his father has cancer and has been receiving chemotherapy despite the fact that they discovered it too late. When Hank inquires about the potential side effects, he finds that memory loss is one of them. Hank informs the judge that he is aware of the chemo and intends to use it as evidence in the case. The judge doesn't want to use his medical condition as a defense, because of his pride. Only the doctor and the deceased wife are aware of the cancer. He claims that people only remember Ronald Reagan as a senile old fool, and not for any of the fantastic things he accomplished. That is not what he wants to leave behind as well. The evening Glenn was injured in an automobile accident, Hank was driving while drunk. His father threw the book at Hank. He admits that he was never kind with Hank, but he also notes that Hank did well in life. Hank claims that on his own, he did well. The judge reminds him that he was the one who covered the cost of Hank's legal education. Hank graduated first in his class, but his father never congratulated him, and this is the reason why Hank never even said thanks to his father. This visit is the first time they've spoken since Hank left home at 18. Hank disagrees with the judge's desire to testify during his case. Only those who are guilty, according to the judge, choose not to speak for themselves. In the next day, the judge takes the stand. Despite the fact that Gus has been his bailiff for more than 20 years, he still cannot recall Gus' name, but the judge has no recollection of killing Blackwell. Dickham triggers the judge's memory and find out that on the night Blackwell passed away, they were both at the convenience shop. When Blackwell encountered the judge, he informed him that, since the judge's wife was buried in the same cemetery as the girl Blackwell had murdered many years earlier, he was welcome to urinate on both of their graves when he visited. Motive is established. Dickham replies that he has no more questions. To everyone's shock, Hank mentions the chemotherapy. The judge is enraged by this and tells Hank that they are finished for good. The judge acknowledges memory lapses. Hank questions him, and find out that the judge initially treated Blackwell lightly because, when Blackwell was a child, the judge viewed no difference between him and Hank, a young boy who made mistakes occasionally. The jury deliberates and they return with a verdict of guilty for manslaughter, but not for murder. He has been given a 4-year prison term. The judge is granted parole and released from custody after 7 months. Hank comes to get him and they go fishing. The judge explains to him that the reason he was so harsh on Hank for so long was because in addition to seeing Blackwell in Hank, he also saw Hank in Blackwell and was concerned that without his harsh treatment, Hank wouldn't have developed into the man he is today. The judge reveals that Hank was the best attorney he had ever seen. Hank finally receives his father's blessing. The judge later passes away in the fishing boat. After the judge's funeral, Hank enters the courtroom where his father spent so much time. In an apparent moment of reflection, he rotates his father's chair. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification, so you can watch more video like this. Thanks for watching.